the Chicago Bulls are off to a 4-0 start. But how good is this team exactly? Can they make a playoff push in the weaker Eastern Conference? Or will they find themselves in the play-in tournament for the 4th consecutive season? Now, so far this year, the foundation for Chicago's success has laid with their defense. As of this recording, the Bulls have the 3rd best defensive rating across the league, which to some people may be pretty surprising, because on paper, it doesn't look like the Bulls are loaded up with defensive talent. But what's really held everything together is their team concepts. First, the Bulls in general play very aggressive in gap, where the help side shifts over and forces the ball handler to deal with multiple bodies. DeRozan here is trying to isolate at the slot, but from this spot, he's pretty much playing 3-on-1. As Desmond Bane turns the corner off his handoff, look how Chicago literally has 4 bodies in the paint. And from here, there's not many scoring or passing options.
Bane trying to scoop by
and Chicago will also send aggressive help from the weak side too. If there's any kind of ball screen action happening on the wing or slot, there's pretty much always going to be somebody sliding over from 2 passes away. Look how Giddey here has 2 feet in the paint as DeMar comes off. And again, you also have that heavy gap defense on the strong side. From this spot, there's just no space for DeMar to work with, and the Bulls can easily rotate out as the ball gets reversed. So obviously, if you throw multiple defenders at the ball like this, you're gonna leave yourself vulnerable to swing and skip passes. But what ties everything together is that Chicago as a team is always in sync on their rotations. If someone leaves their man to help on the ball, the next man is always ready to shift up. Again, as this 2-man action is happening on the wing, Patrick Williams on the weak side is gonna slide across to protect the paint. But when Desmond Bane tries to counter with that skip pass, Kevin Huerter, who is guarding Tyus Jones here, is going to rotate down and cover the corner, while Patrick Williams switches up onto Tyus Jones, and they're able to take away any clean looks from 3 and force this contested floater. So the Bulls kind of have this push and pull effect with the defense. They'll shrink the floor with multiple defenders to then contract back out and recover to the perimeter. Again, as the ball's coming downhill, the Bulls have 3 guys in the paint, and they have confidence in their ability to close out and funnel the offense into inefficient looks. This play here is kind of nuts. Look how Okoro pretty much ignores Paolo on the wing to stunt down towards the ball. And again, Chicago has belief in their ability to recover when the pass gets made. And then while the Bulls are helping and recovering, they also have a very good understanding of who they want to leave open. Once again, they're going to collapse when DeRozan gets 2 feet in the lane. But on this kickout, look how Josh Giddey is going to ignore Westbrook on the catch and instead shift over to Zach LaVine. And from here, they're going to live with a 30% 3-point shooter taking this. Sabonis here is going to slip out towards the top of the key. And look how nobody bothers to close out. And then as the shot clock winds down, it's not a coincidence that he's the one who's left open.
Sabonis open for 3.
So from a personnel standpoint, I wouldn't say Chicago has the most talented defensive roster, but they do have guys who can hold their own in one-on-one situations, while just generally having size at every position. The first guy we have to go over is Isaac Okoro. Out of everybody on this team, I would say he's the most established defender across the league. And as a backcourt and wing defender, he pretty much checks all the boxes. He has great foot speed in open space, where he can both pressure and contain the ball. And at 6'5" and 230, he also has a pretty stocky build, so he can switch up against bigger off-the-dribble creators. In their game against the Orlando Magic, I thought he played really good one-on-one defense on Paolo Banchero. And while Paolo did get his in spots, he was also getting pushed out into really tough in-between jumpers. Now, I would argue that the best part of Okoro's defense is his ability to navigate ball screens. And this is huge because Chicago doesn't really have super mobile big men, so they typically have guys like Vucevic sitting back and drop. And Isaac being able to press up and keep himself attached to the ball really limits their breakdowns out of pick and roll. And then off the ball, Isaac also fits with the Bulls' identity of overhelping and shifting. Now the next guy who deserves a big defensive shout out is Matas Buzelis. Standing at 6'8" with a 6'10" wingspan, Matas gives the Bulls a really good inside-out presence at the wing position. And in general, he does everything pretty well. He can rotate down to protect the basket, shift out towards the 3, while being able to hold his own pretty well 1 through 4. Obviously, he still has to get a little bit stronger, but in general, his motor, quickness, and size makes him really impactful right now.
All last season. Buzelis, another block.
So with both Okoro and Matas on the floor, the Bulls have 2 really versatile and effective wing defenders. Again, the both of them can switch and take on a variety of matchups. They can navigate through ball screens at the point of attack. Plus, they have the quickness to perfectly fit in with Chicago's aggressive and scrambling style of defense. And their ability to be impactful from literally every spot on the floor does plug up some of Chicago's personnel problems. And the thing is with Chicago is that you can make a case that their defense gets better when they go to their bench. At the backcourt position, you have both Ayo Dosunmu and Tre Jones. First, Ayo at 6'4", has a freakishly long 6'10" wingspan, while having the physicality to step up, pressure, and blow up actions on the ball. While Tre doesn't have any notable athletic traits, he's still a very savvy defender who finds ways to make plays. He has good foot and hand speed on the ball, plus he'll slide across the lane to take charges. At the wing position, the Bulls bring both Patrick Williams and Julian Phillips off the bench. Patrick can match up well with any guard or wing scorer. He has the physicality and mobility to keep the ball in front, and he can use that reach to extend out and contest shots. And like we saw with the Bulls' other starters, Pat can also navigate screens very effectively. Phillips, on the other hand, has the build of a truly special defender. He's 6'8" with a 6'11" wingspan, and he can move really well. He's going to start this play a couple of steps behind the ball, but watch him hit the turbo button and get a hand on this bounce pass. And that blend of length and mobility obviously fits in with the Bulls' playstyle very well, where he can help and scramble all over the court causing chaos. And then at the front court position, the Bulls bring Jalen Smith off the bench. While Smith isn't a top tier rim protector, he does give Chicago's defense a different look. Obviously, he can bang down low, but he can also switch out and contain guards on the perimeter, while also being able to run traditional pick and roll coverages. So off the bench, the Bulls have impactful defenders at all 5 positions. They have aggressive guards who can pressure and impact the ball, wings who can switch and provide value from every spot on the floor, plus a big man who gives your defense additional versatility. Now obviously the elephant in the room with Chicago's defense is going to be Coby White, Josh Giddey, and Nikola Vucevic. But because Coby is out, I'm just going to focus on these 2. Now, it's safe to say that both Giddey and Vuce have never been looked at as super impactful defenders. And for any team, it's going to be tough to have a good defense if you're not strong at the point of attack and around the basket. The perfect example is the New York Knicks. While that team is loaded with a ton of great wing defenders, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns do make that defense pretty leaky. And like we saw in the playoffs against the Pacers, there was many ways to expose them. But for Giddey and Vuce specifically, I think the 2 of them have held their own pretty well so far this season. Giddey at the very least is a big 6'8" point guard, so if he can keep himself between the ball and the basket, he's got enough to make things pretty difficult. And while Vuce isn't an elite rim protector and can't switch out that well, he has been playing really solid in drop. He's done a good job of both containing the ball and the roller. He's been able to time some passes, and when players do charge towards the basket, he's been playing disciplined by going up vertical to avoid fouling. I think for Bulls fans, this is all you can really ask for out of Vuce. Again, he doesn't have the verticality to be an elite rim protector, plus he's not going to switch out and guard 1 through 5 like Draymond Green. Now, when looking at all the defensive talent that Chicago has, it shouldn't be surprising that this team has a top 5 defense. They have a ton of depth from the wing position, they have multiple guards who are aggressive and make winning plays, plus they can throw out some different looks from the big man position. But again, what ties everything together is this team being in sync. They've been defending the ball with all 5 guys, they've been sharp on rotations, while being aware of who they do and don't want to leave open. And then naturally, that ability to get stops feeds into Chicago's offense. First, the Bulls right now are averaging 34 points per game out on the break, which is the 2nd highest across the league. And what makes this squad so deadly in the open court is that there's always 4 or more guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot. And the Bulls have scoring and playmaking from pretty much every position. They have multiple guards who can handle the ball and put pressure on the rim, athletic wings who can leak out and finish plays, plus their big men can also spread the floor and put the ball down to attack rotations. So while Chicago doesn't have earth-shattering talent from one specific player, they do have decent ball handling, shooting, and passing from every position. So once they get out and run, it pretty much turns into a spread out, read and react type of offense. Now, if I had to pick one guy who's really been thriving out in transition, it would have to be Matas Buzelis. Obviously, he has the tools to be a very effective play finisher, being long, athletic, and developing really good touch around the basket. And Buzelis has also gotten much more comfortable attacking matchups off the dribble, where his control and balance is much improved. This move here is pretty tough, where he's going to hit this between behind combo to then float out to his left and throw up a hezzy, and he's able to beat Jalen Johnson across the baseline. And then off the ball, Matas can also spread the floor and dot threes. His percentages aren't super high yet, but from an eye test standpoint, I think he's for sure a more than capable shot maker. So again, if the Bulls are out and running in transition, they have enough ball handling and passing to break down the defense and create good shots. However, when we switch over to their play in the half court, this is where I think they have a few sore spots. First, besides Kevin Huerter and Coby White who's hurt, the Bulls don't have anybody who's a legit floor spacer. They have plenty of guys who can take and make open shots, but nobody that's truly top tier. And then on top of that, the Bulls don't have any super reliable on-ball creators. Josh Giddey can put some pressure on the rim, and he is a decent passer out of pick and roll. But because he isn't an elite off-the-dribble shooter, and the mid-range game is pretty much non-existent, there's plenty of ways for the defense to game plan around him. Matas has taken some big individual steps forward, but at age 21, his game is still kind of developing. Now, the guy who's been shouldering a lot in Chicago's half-court offense has actually been Vucevic. As a big man, Nikola has a really good inside-out scoring game. He can pop open threes, attack rotations off the catch, and if he gets good position down low, he has the footwork and touch to generate consistent points. And because the Bulls have this high-paced offense, he's often been getting these cross matchups that he can butcher down low. And what also makes Vuce super effective is that you can plug him into any action. He's great at screening and rolling. You can use him as a passing hub from the post or perimeter. Plus, he can screen and work off different off-ball actions. And the thing is, while Chicago may not have crazy individual talent, they do the right things to make the game easier. They make the defense work by getting dribble penetration, moving the ball, and seeking out the best possible shot. And no matter what the action is, there's always off-ball movement and reads being made. As this ball screen is happening on the slot, look how Io on the baseline is going to cut through, while Huerter fills in towards the corner to get the open shot. And Chicago will also throw out a few quick hitters in early offense. This right here is just a Spain pick and roll, with Huerter stacked up behind the big man, and he's just going to fill out and find space with his catch and shoot three. They're going to set up the exact same action here, but now the defense is too occupied with taking away the three, and they give up more dribble penetration. So again, Chicago may not have the most talented roster offensively, but they do have capable shooting, passing, and ball handling from every position. That combined with them playing unselfish, making the defense work with multiple actions and ball reversals, while leveraging their defense to get out and run, should be enough to keep their offense afloat. Their lack of on-ball creation may be a bigger issue against top-tier defenses, but regardless, I think this team has enough depth and versatility on defense to give any team some problems. So while the Bulls aren't currently in the hunt for a championship, I do think this team is a lot better than most people expected. Again, they have really good depth at the guard and wing positions. They can leverage that defense to get out and play in transition. And their unselfish and movement-heavy offense in the half court is making up for the lack of talent. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.